What's up? This is Tom Froming, and today I'm going to talk about the Minnesota Twins' approach to the trade deadline. Got a sheet full of topics here I want to discuss. A lot of people are talking about the needs of this team. A lot of people are talking about the hopes and expectations from the fan base. But at the end of the day, this comes down to Derek Falvey and what his job is. We're going to learn a lot about this because this is the first truly competitive team that we've seen under Derek Falvey. What is his role? Is he here to build a championship team? Is that how he's being measured? Is he here simply to increase revenues, which the Twins have already done this season with a giant spike in attendance? Job done? What is his job? Is he here to push for a title? I'm not sure. This Twins organization has been one of the most loyal in really any professional sport. They gave Terry Ryan such a long leash. Ron Gardenhire had a long leash. In some ways, if you think about it, considering all the details around these past couple years, Paul Molitor in some ways had a pretty long leash. They committed to Paul Molitor in the middle of searching for a new chief baseball officer / general manager. That's, very, very much loyal on behalf of the Jim Pohlad and the rest of the Pohlad family. So a lot of that stuff dates back to the Carl Pohlad, Terry Ryan years, but it's certainly been a trait that's carried through. And I'm not trying to paint that as a bad thing, not at all. I think it's commendable to give people some leash and not to have such big reactions to things. And we're going to learn too. What does Derek Falvey and what does Thad Levine feel about being in Minnesota? Are those guys comfortable here? Do they like being here? Would they like to move up in the world? I would think taking some risks and aiming for a championship team would be a good way to move up. So it's going to be very fascinating to see at the end of the deadline, which is coming Wednesday afternoon, where we're at. Again, this is the best Twins team that they've had under this regime, so I'm very interested to see what happens. But this team, this organization has really been pushing the idea that they want to build a consistent, sustainable winner. Not that they want to go out and make stuff happen. As much as you or I want that to be the case in 2019, they really haven't painted anything in that direction. And I think this first move of trading for Sergio Romo really fits in line with that direction, because what else did they get? They got a prospect back. That's very unique. To trade one prospect, get a piece for your major league team, and bring back a prospect. And to me, that tells me, again, they're trying to improve, of course, for 2019, but they're also keeping an eye on the future. It's not all about 2019. All right, so that was my main kind of intro talking point. We'll flow into some other stuff from here, but that's sort of the framework around what I'm going to talk about. Again, this is Tom Froming. You may know me from twinsdaily.com or the Twins Prospect Handbook. And of course, you're following me on Twitter at TF Twins, and you're already subscribed to me on YouTube, so I don't need to plug that at all. But I wanted to get into some other specifics on this. And let's jump back to that trade that's already been made. Lewin Diaz went to Miami. I don't think it's any kind of a coincidence that it's a position player leaving the Twins organization and pitchers coming back into the Twins organization. It is very difficult to find and develop pitching. If we learned anything about this offseason, it's that it's much easier to find pieces to your lineup. CJ Cron was DFA'd. Nelson Cruz, of course, he's getting up there in age, and he's only a DH, so he had a limited market. So there's ways I understand that, but he was affordable considering the type of player he is. And you know what? Free agents, what's the common theme of them? They've been around for a while. So, a lot of the guys like Dallas Keuchel, they have a lot of wear on their arms. So, it's not even beyond the expense part, it may not even be the most logical way to build a pitching staff through free agency. So the whole point of that was I expect that to continue to mostly be the case, that we're going to see the Twins trying to move position players for more pitching. It just, especially when you look at the organization, it makes even more sense. There's so many guys on the big club who are making this team push where it's at. We're going to be around for a while. Even Eddie Rosario is going to be one of the first guys to reach free agency. He has multiple years of team control. You have Buxton, you have Kepler, you have Polanco, you have Mitch Garver. So many pieces there, Miguel Sano, that are going to be around for multiple years on the position player end. So you factor in also the prospects. Take a look at this team. There are a lot of pitchers on the rise in the system right now, which is great. Most of the biggest breakout guys in the system this year have been pitchers. So that's huge. Awesome to see. But still, Royce Lewis, Alex Kirilloff, again, these dudes, they're at the top of the heap. There is a lot of great position player depth in this organization. So I know a lot of news came this morning and buzz about Brusdar Graterol getting on a mound for the GCL. It is very curious, the timing of that appearance, that they would, I don't think it's a coincidence that he got out there today. But my guess is the Twins would rather not trade Graterol or Duran or Balazovic, any of their top pitching prospects. Obviously, the biggest glaring weakness that appears to be the most likely thing to hold this year's team down is the bullpen. And we've already seen them add Sergio Romo, who's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Hard to say what's going to happen there. I expect they're going to make at least one more addition, but are they going to be searching for a long-term guy, or are they going to be searching for a rental who will cost, less prospect capital? That's tough to say. So let's jump back again and talk about that trade that was made. Lewin Diaz. What's interesting about him? He's having an excellent year. Breakout prospect. This was his breakout year. Really nice bounce back after a rough 2018. And I think that's a good strategy to take for the most part, is to sell a guy when his value is sky high, when he's been on the rise. Because you never know. He's at peak value probably, for all we know. Now I'm not taking a shot at him trying to say that there's no chance that Diaz is going to be a good player. Certainly it could be, but he went undrafted in the Rule 5 draft this offseason. The Twins were going to have to add him to the 40-man this offseason. He's a first baseman, and like I said with Cron, 30 home run guy who was just available out there. So how valuable is a first baseman really? The Twins also aren't in a stage in which they really are going to want to be breaking in new rookies, hopefully. It should be tough. If a guy like Luis Arraez pops up and just hits 400 right off the gate, you certainly sort of take a step back and let that happen. But, in the case of trying to sort of make a shoe fit, I don't think this Twins organization is going to be in that scenario for a few years now. So who are some other guys who may be like a sell high type of piece? The first guy who I was thinking of would have been Travis Blankenhorn, but he's been out for a little while. It's always kind of unclear how much an immediate injury impacts a guy's trade value, but we'll kind of skip over him. That's another guy I really like, too, in addition to Diaz. I'm not saying I don't like Blankenhorn, but he's a guy who's having a career year right now, up on a upward trajectory. So he would make sense in that trade sort of conversation. Another guy, Trevor Larnach. The team's first-round pick from the previous season. He's having a great year. He looked really good. He's up to Double-A now. I'm not saying I don't think he can be a plus offensive player, but if you can find another organization that believes in his power, it might be a good time to get him on the move. And more than anything, he's the highest prospect that I'd feel comfortable trading. That's the biggest thing. And that's not a knock at him at all. I think I have him as my number 4 overall prospect right now. But He's behind Royce Lewis. He's behind Alex Kirilloff. He's behind Brusdar Graterol to me still. And again, like I said, I'd rather not trade pitchers if at all possible. So that kind of leaves, I'm not saying I don't believe in Larnach or that I don't think he's going to hit for power. I think it's possible that he doesn't hit for much power, but who knows? So he's having a really good year. Again, I really like him, but a corner outfielder, you've got Rosario, you've got Kepler, you've got Buxton under multiple years at first base. That might be Sano or DH. Kirilloff might slot in there. So there's just a lot of other guys. Brooker's in that conversation too. So there's just a lot going on without even thinking about the potential of other, free agent additions that will be out there. There are probably going to be some more attractive corner outfield, first base, DH guys over the coming years. So you have to think about that too. It's not just, when you're talking about prospects trading and their value, I don't really think of it just in terms of, I have this guy above this guy on my list or whatever. Because it's you need to look at the whole of the organization in that sense and say, what are we going to more than likely miss possibly? So that's my philosophy on keeping the pitchers, is that you have to plant a lot of seeds to get some really good starting pitchers to come up. And right now, I'd rather keep all those if possible. It would be really tough to see like a Graterol or a Duran or a Balazovic get traded and then develop into a really good starting pitcher. I highly doubt they will ever give like a mega contract out to a free agent starting pitcher. I don't think that's not in their DNA. It's not going to happen. So with that in mind, I'm definitely of the belief that keeping as many pitching prospects and hoarding as many as possible is the smartest way to go about things. We've seen Marcus Stroman get traded in kind of an underwhelming deal. I'm not as familiar with the other teams' systems, so I don't have a great handle on that Mets package that got him, but it was pitchers that Toronto was interested in. So it could be that the Twins, were trying to push Larnach and some other pieces, some other bats, and Toronto just wanted arms. Is my guess there. I have no idea if that's accurate or not. But that was a shoe that dropped. We're still waiting for stuff. As I'm recording this, maybe some stuff went down. Actually, I should probably look. Okay. Nope. No deals yet. I can't believe how slow it's been. It's crazy. I know. I've got my 2009 pennant race shirt. If you remember this guy, Orlando Cabrera, he had a giant home run in game 163. Sometimes it is just a veteran rental guy who gets you, fills a hole. Romo certainly seems like he's going to help with that. I would put him at the top of my right-handed reliever rankings right now on the Twins. It's not really saying a lot about how I feel about Duffy and May and Harper, but, it is what it is. They need to keep adding in the bullpen. That's item number one. Whatever happens over these next couple days, when I look past 2019, I like what I see a lot. That's actually a big part of the article I wrote for the Prospect Handbook, was about how Derek Falvey and Thad Levine have been building toward the future and how many different avenues that they've used to acquire talent. You even look to the structure of the team, the coaching staff, the technology that they've put in. Everything is on the upswing. I think that they have arrived a year or so earlier than they expected, and it's kind of embarrassing looking back on their spring training quotes about Byron Buxton or Miguel Sano, or their lack of really pushing further, because they could have gotten a guy like Romo without trading. He only signed a pretty reasonable deal this offseason. So, so that's some positivity on the front office, with also sort of calling them out a little bit. They did doubt this team, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they react now. Do they still not really believe in this team? Are they thinking the window is more 2020 and beyond, or are they going to push the door open? We'll find out. So, as moves go down, check them out, and then hit up Twins Daily and come join the conversation, because that's the funnest part of the whole site. So come on down. Thanks for watching again. We'll talk to you later.